Welcome home, where we provide information, inspiration, and motivator after motivator after motivator. Here on America's Next, I have Michelle Mays here with me today. How you doing, Michelle?
Hi, Cedric. I'm doing great.
That's good. How you feeling today?
Oh, I feel great. The sun is shining. It's a beautiful day.
You know, where I am here in New York, the sun has gone down, probably 20 to 30 minutes ago. Where are you with that sun shining on you like that?
I am in Ohio. It's close to Hocking Hills, Ohio. So it's kind of a mini Smoky Mountains area. It's just so beautiful with hills and cliffs and waterfalls and hiking. And we have a national state park here with over 4 million visitors a year. So it's just absolutely the most beautiful place in Ohio to live.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
You know, I'm also from Ohio. For those people who might not know, and I don't think I've ever been to that national park. What's the name of it?
Hocking Hills,
And it's HOCK.
ING.
ING.
Yes.
Okay,
Hocking Hills, Ohio.
nice. You ever been there?
Well, yeah, I used to go all the time. I used to live closer to Columbus in a suburb for many years, for over 20 years. And we used to travel to Hocking Hills. It's about an hour and a half away just to go hiking for the day and to look at the waterfalls. And it's really beautiful. And finally, when we started the whole work from home, and it was like, why are we continuing to live in the suburbs? Why don't we live where we want to live
Mhm.
and have a beautiful view? And we can still work from home. So we made the choice. We actually just moved here about 2 months ago. So everything's been going great.
Wow. So you decided to make yet another adjustment in your life after the pandemic started.
Yes.
Okay, nice. Now, did you grow up in that area?
No, I actually grew up in, I was born in Ohio,
Hmm.
and my family lived in Ohio. Um, but my father was a Marine, and we moved to North Carolina. And then my parents became divorced, and then my mom moved to Pennsylvania, and we came back to Ohio to live with our grandparents for a while my father took care of the divorce. And then he brought us back, and he had another wife when he brought us back. And so we went and lived with our mother in Pennsylvania, and she was running from the law.
Okay.
And we lived in a station wagon for about 3 weeks, and it broke down in Florida. So we ended up in Florida. And my mother was a drug user. She drank a lot, very heavily, and she would shoot up. And I'm assuming it's heroin. I didn't know when I was a kid anything about drugs, so I know she put a needle in her arm, and 9 times out of 10, that's heroin. Um,
Did she do this in front of you?
yes, yes. Actually, she would have my brothers hold the band for her sometimes
How old were
because
your brothers?
well, I have an older brother and two younger brothers. My older brother is about 3 years older than me, and at the time he was probably about 10 or 11. And my younger brother, he's 3 years younger than me, so he was around 5 or 6. And then my youngest brother was a baby. He was actually born addicted to heroin, and had that fetal syndrome where he would shake, and his teeth, when they finally came in, his baby teeth came in black. That's how bad it was in his system. But he had a lot of problems, like he was deaf in one ear, and just ADD, and my other brother severe ADHD, and um, we all have a touch of ADD. So um,
You
I've
know,
I've kind of learned how to deal with mine and manage mine.
right. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, we are in for a very touching story today with Michelle Mays. And I want to say right from the outset that we appreciate you coming onto our platform today to share your story with families, with young people who are growing up, and with people who just need more of a glimpse into the lives of young people who are in the foster care system or going to foster care or affected by that type of lifestyle that results in people going into foster care. So if you're in the audience out there, I want you to get one other person who would benefit from hearing this story, get them in the building, and let's go along for this journey with Michelle. So Michelle, you were 7 years old watching your older brother assist your mother in doing drugs.
Actually, I was 7, 8. So I have to back up a minute. So my parents, my father is a Vietnam veteran, and he has severe PTSD. Severe, like he goes into fits of rage and will pick up furniture and throw it, and so we already, my mom and dad would literally knock down, drag out, fist fight, throwing. My dad would bust. He found alcohol bottles. He would throw them against the wall and bust them. And my mom would punch him. And she was a big lady. She was not a small lady. She was like 5'11", and big boned, and could fight like a man. So they fought a lot, and there were always black eyes and bloody noses, and she actually left us, and it's in the book. I actually I wrote a book to help people who have gone through the things that I've gone through, so that they know they're not alone in this world. And so she left us on Christmas Eve, and that's when we went to live with our grandparents. And then when we came back, my father had remarried, and then his new wife didn't want us around. So my mother came and got us, and she had a new baby, my youngest brother, Andy, and her new boyfriend. And we lived above a bar in Pennsylvania. And we would play, which is the term where the term dumpster doll came from. I don't know if you guys can see that, but this is the book. Whoops.
So you wrote a book called Dumpster Doll.
Yes.
As a result of your experiences.
Yes. And I actually partner with a couple organizations to try to spread the word to help them understand what foster children go through before they actually enter the system. Because if they understand all the trauma that these kids go through before they enter the system, then maybe they'll be better equipped to help with their emotional development and maturity, and their outbursts, and their, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. Their needs. They're just their needs, what they need emotionally and physically, because a lot of kids in the foster care system did not just enter the foster care system and then all of a sudden their life is bad. Their life was horrible to get them to the point to where they had to be in the foster care system. So that's why I wrote this book, and that's why I partner with CASA, which stands for Court Appointed Special Advocates, and they're a nationwide organization. They have over 100,000 volunteers all across the U.S. They're in 49 states. But actually 3 different counties have used the book as a study to help them understand how they can better serve the children that they support. And one county actually had a magistrate and their legal team on the call, and they're going to use the book to rewrite their processes of how they extract children from the home, because they didn't realize how traumatic it was for a child. So I actually wrote a whole story about how the cops busted down the door and they came in. My mom actually left us in a trailer in Florida. She padlocked it on the outside and left. And wow. I don't know how long she was gone, but me and my brothers would sit around a circle and we would like pry open the canned goods, and we had no electricity. And we would just each take turns eating either the pork and beans or the green beans, or sometimes we would have stovetop stuffing and we would just eat it right out of the box, or ramen noodles, or whatever we could eat. And then sometimes we would crawl out the back window. They have these slats. I forget what they're called, but the windows where you can take the slats out in the trailer windows. So we would take a few of the slats out and climb out and we were scared to death because we never knew when our mom was going to come home. Um, and we would run over to the neighbor and like borrow milk or bread or sugar, and then we would make little sugar sandwiches and eat sugar bread. And we lived like that for quite a while. And then I don't know who, I've heard stories that my mother stole her mom's car, and that's the station wagon we lived in. And my mom was running from the law. And I think my grandma found out where we were because of her station wagon. So I've heard stories through the family from my aunts that she came, knocked on the door, she saw the padlock, and she heard us inside crying. She's the one that called the cops. And then they came and busted down the door and took us in the middle of the night. So they took us to a children's home in Florida. And we were separated for, I don't know how long exactly. It felt like forever, but my two youngest brothers were taken to like the infant section of the orphanage, and my older brother was put in the boys section, and I was put in the girls section.
So let me get this straight. You're pretty much watching the last remnants of your family fall apart, almost like from the very beginning.
Yes.
When you come into the world, your mother is struggling with drugs and overall dysfunction. Your father has PTSD. Your younger siblings are being born with birth defects. You're having challenges yourself, and you guys are living in a trailer at the very beginning of your life. Did you think that your life was normal at that time?
I knew it wasn't normal because I was hit by, before we were taken into foster care, let me back up again. I was hit by a drunk driver. I was crossing the highway going to a convenience store, and I was hit by a drunk driver, and I was in the hospital for 4 weeks. And in the hospital is where I realized that people were different, and they could be different. And, my life didn't have to be like this because the nurses doted on me, and they were so sweet. And my pelvic was completely crushed. They said I would never walk again. My liver was cut in half. One of my kidneys was removed. They said I wouldn't live past the age of 40. I would never have kids. There were all kinds of stuff I was told that I would never be able to do as a normal functioning adult, but I've proven them wrong. You don't tell me I can't do something. But in the hospital, I received regular meals. I had people talking to me, paying attention to me. This one nurse in the book, I give sorry. I give a big tribute to her.
It's okay. Hold on, Michelle, hold on,
Yes.
okay? Because we are in this together, all right? You and I are going to share your journey today, and where you're weak, I'm going to be strong, okay? So you take a second to compose yourself, and I'll take a second to share some of my thoughts. Now, I want to encourage all of the peripheral people who come into the lives of kids, the doctors, the school bus drivers, the folks at the corner store, the people who cross you over at the traffic light, the police, the firefighters, the landlord, all the people who are not actually in your household that have an opportunity to say something nice, to say something encouraging. It goes a long way.
Yes.
When those nurses were talking to Michelle, it showed Michelle that some people just know how to have a nice, caring conversation. It showed Michelle that some people have a heart that's in the right place, and they have a heart that can heal others. And I suspect that once Michelle realized that some people have a heart that can heal others, that her heart could heal also, and that she could overcome the ailments that she was dealing with as well. So I want to commend all the people who play critical roles in the lives of children and other people, because you never know where your kind gesture is going to land on the next person's heart. So now, is this the moment where you all went into foster care?
When I got out of the hospital, and I want to thank you for saying that, Cedric, because that is also another reason why I wrote the book, because I wanted to show people that have the means and the ability to help children like us, that they can really make an impact on how we turn out. They really can. And I tried to really, really, really play it out in detail and show how just the smallest actions that certain people did made such an impact on me that it became, you know, a part of my foundation that makes me so strong today. But thank you for saying that. Now, after I got out of the hospital, um I think I was supposed to go back every week for follow-up visits, and I went back for one follow-up visit. And then after that, we were in the car running from the law. And then we ended up in Florida. And I don't know how long we were in Florida. I
Did
may have.
you did you ever begin to see your mother as someone who needed help?
I I went back and forth, and you can see the struggle in my mentality in the
Yeah.
book, that, you know, I'm team mom now. I'm, oh, I hate her, and now I'm team mom again, and now I hate her. And I wanted so much for her to be our mother and to care about us, and I wanted so much for my parents to be normal and not fight. And there are so many different emotions that I take the reader through in the book, that I try to portray how I was thinking at that moment as a child. So
Right.
the way the book is written is me speaking as a child, not me speaking as an adult, because
Right.
I wanted the reader to understand that this is how a child thinks when you do this. If
Right.
you take
Yep.
drugs, this is what a child sees. This is how they think. If you scream and throw things, this is what a child sees. This is how they think. If you abandon them, this is what they go through. This is what they think. You know, this is how they feel. And hopefully, you know, that helps other people that have gone through this and ended up in the system, um, that just feel like, oh my gosh, I just have to pretend to be normal, and I'll push all this down, and, you know, I'll just forget it ever happened. But we can't forget, because one little thing sparks that memory again. And you could end up in bed for days with the covers over your head, because that memory just paralyzes you,
Right.
and you don't know how to get through it because you've pushed it down so long, and you don't speak about it. You don't talk to people.
You know
So
what I like about what you're saying is that you decided to share your story, not because it had a fantastic book ending. You know, you're not like a super celebrity right now. You're not, all over the world, famous and extremely successful, but you saw the need to tell your story. And I think that's a big encouragement, because sometimes, people have traumas in their life, they go through things in their lives, and they think, well, nobody wants to hear my story.
exactly.
Guess what? So many people want to hear your story. People need to hear your story. It's not about you getting to an ending that everybody can say, "Oh, this person is in Hollywood now, so I need to know their story." It's the
Right.
fact that each and every one of us has something that somebody else can use. Now, how old were you when you decided to write your story down?
Well, the first time, I was 17, I was in high school, and my professor, I had this professor and I loved him. He was the best professor. He was really soft spoken, and he would tell the class to pull their desks around him in a circle. And he would put a question on the board at the beginning of the week, and you had a paper due Friday, and you had to answer that question. There was never a right or wrong answer. It just had something to do with part of the story we would have to read that week, whether it was Shakespeare or Nietzsche. Or, it was my favorite class, but he'd have us move in. The rest of the week, we'd talk about current events, how the story we were reading related to current events. And many times I would use my life experiences to answer this question because it was very, I felt like it helped answer the question. So he pulled me after class one day and he said, Michelle, are these your stories, your personal stories? I said, yeah. And he said, you have to write a book. You have to. People need to hear these stories. And I'm 17. I'm like, I'm nobody. Maybe one day. I told him, well, I will one day. I made him that promise. I will one day. And later on, after my kids graduated high school, I went to college, and my psychology professor, again, we were doing something about mental illness one week. Another week, we were doing something about PTSD in psychology class. So I wrote, my personal life experience for my thesis. And the psychology professor asked me to stay after class one day, and she said, Michelle, are these your stories? I said, yeah, they are. And she said, I want to write your book. She said, you have to write a book. And I said, her name is Diana Klein, and she held my hand through this whole process. She's so amazing. But she is a professor at the Ohio State University now, and she's just the most amazing person. But she said, we'll sit, we'll meet, we'll talk, I'll record, and I want to write your story. I want to help you write your story. And I said, Dr. Klein, I said, I'm nobody. I'm not famous. I'm just a middle-class American, average person, and I've struggled to appear normal my entire life, and no one knows all this stuff about me. I work in a professional environment. And she said, Michelle, you don't realize how many people there are out there that have gone through these things. And I was like, okay, we'll do it. We'll do it. But then she took a dean role and she became so busy. And then my best friend, who also has a psychology degree from the Ohio State University, I was upset one night. I was driving home from the family, and I always call her to talk me down because I get really emotional when I see children abused. And it was happening again in my family with some cousins, or with my youngest brother's daughter. And it upset me so bad because it started bringing back everything.
Yep.
It started bringing back all these memories that I've
So,
pushed down.
so let me ask, do you feel that people who have that lived experience of foster care should have access to help? I
Yes.
feel like, because you have such a heart for not seeing that trend continue. And so it's like people who have been through it, I'd love to see them in positions to
Yep.
help, because when you see something like that going on, you're going to say, no, it's not right. So what type of conversation do we need to have to stop it? Because I'm not willing to overlook it,
Right.
and it's that type of passion, and it's that type of attention to abuse that we need to start paying forward in order to start to change that condition of youth in care in America.
Yes, I agree.
Look,
I
yeah,
wholeheartedly agree. So I called my friend and she said, Michelle, I want to write your story. I know the dean said she wanted to write it, but ever since I've known you, I've wanted to write your story. Can I take a stab at it? And I'm thinking, yeah, she just got laid off from her job. This would be a great distraction for her, and we'll get to hang out, have some wine nights. But once I started recalling everything, it was like nonstop. It just happened so quick, and it turned into a big novel. And I was like, wow. And I'm only 12 years old in this first book. We
right.
ended at 12 here. The second one is my adolescence period, and the third one will be my adult life. But we broke it up because it's just so much. It's so much. And
Yep.
we've had nothing but I've received so many emails from ex-foster children, children that were abandoned, or even children that lived with their parents till they turned 18, but their parents were drug addicts, or their father had PTSD, or someone in their family was abusive. And just the amount of emails I have received, I just cannot believe how many children are abused in this family now, or in this world. So you hear about, and I'm not political. I'm not trying to be political,
Let's
but you
go.
hear about the mental illness problem in this world. Do you know why there's a mental illness problem in this
Why?
world? Because nobody takes care of the children. If you take care of the children, if you have a normal or stable environment for them, they won't grow up with all these disorders, because they'll have normal emotional reactions to things. They'll have normal work ethics. They'll have normal, reactions to when something does go wrong.
You know what?
They'll have
I
the
agree with you.
motivation to keep going.
I
you
agree
know?
with you. I agree with you. We need to go on a campaign to encourage the government or
Yes.
private organizations to have a national impact on the safety of children. And what we need to do is make sure that each and every child has a balanced life. We need to
Yes.
make sure each and every child is eating properly and is having the proper experiences that they're going to need in order to become safe and sufficient adults.
Yes.
That
Yes.
needs to be a national agenda. It
Yes.
doesn't matter if you're the president, the government, the mayor, or a local parent. We need
Yes.
to make sure that we're all on one accord when it comes to making sure that children have what they need in order to grow properly. I agree with you on that 1,000%. And I think about it like this. If you are somebody who's providing a good, stable home for your family, if they went into foster care, what would you want them to have? Or if you were gone tomorrow, what would you want them to have? You wouldn't want them to have makeshift anything. You wouldn't want them to have second or third rate anything, let alone become abused or neglected or anything like that.
Right.
And so
Right.
we have to make sure that young people who are living an at-risk life or are already in care
Yes.
start to get above grade care in their lives.
Yes. And with over 400,000 children currently in foster care today, that's almost 500,000 people in the US that could potentially grow up with mental illness. And they are our future. They will impact our future. Do you want them to be an adult in a few years and not be able to function properly? Or do you want to take the time and do the work now and have 400,000, 400 plus thousand functioning adults that can function in society? So, I mean, and 20,000 a year age out of the system, age out, homeless, no parents, no car, no place to live. Oh my gosh, it's something like 50 a day, I think. But it's insane how much we ignore. And I know there are organizations out there that don't, but foster care does not seem to be number one priority on anybody's agenda. And that is sad, because that's a huge amount of people that are going to be, that are going to be adults. They're going to be voters, so why wouldn't politicians do the work and try to help, raise the children properly? If their parents didn't do it, you do it. We spend so much money on the most senseless things, and we fight and picket about and just because of where I came from, I'm like, you guys have no idea what is really going on with the children. Why aren't people out there picketing for the children?
That's right. That's right.
Why not?
I like the way that you're representing today. OH.
IO.
We'll be right back with more from Michelle Mays. America's Next Motivator. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Tuesday and Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern. America's Next Motivator, hosted by me, Cedric Riley, and sponsored by the Pride Empowerment Network. And we're back. Michelle, how you feeling out there?
Oh, I feel great. You got me fired up, Cedric.
Oh yeah, it's time to rock and roll. This is what this platform is for us to come online here and have passionate and profound discussions about our lives, the lives of our children, and the future of our humanity. This is our stuff. This is our stuff. And young people who've been in foster care, who've become adults, we have not forgotten what we've been through. So when you ask me or you look at me and you say, why is he so passionate? Michelle Mays is why I'm so passionate. Ryan Young is why I'm so passionate. All of our brothers and sisters who have been deeply impacted. Oh, we're going to repair that. Oh, yeah, we're going to repair that. Ryan Young says, as a former foster youth and national advocate, I'm putting accountability on the child welfare leaders and our government to ensure families and youth are safe, supported, and heard. Always been my mission. So we are with you today, Michelle. We're with you without a doubt. Now, when you look at foster care, just like you were saying before the break, and how it doesn't seem to be on the forefront of our agenda in society. And these days, we talk about different subcultures, if you will, from foster care. We talk about human trafficking. We talk about child trafficking, right? But let's not allow foster care to take on different names and you lose sight of the grand elephant in the room, which is that we have a foster care system which needs to be fixed. And if it can be fixed, then the outcomes that we see can make the child welfare industry an asset to America as opposed to a liability to America. Because look at those of us who make it out on the up and up. You got Dave Thomas, right? You got Michelle Mays, you got Ryan Young, you got Cedric Riley, you got Latasha Watts. So many people are big motivators. And it's because they had a good series of events, a good combination of people that enabled them to catapult off like a rocket. You completed a whole book and you're only 12 years old in that book.
Yes.
How many books are inside of people who are in the child welfare system today?
Right.
That we need to be reading or helping to be drawn out.
Yes.
So that we can have a look at ourselves.
Real stories, not fictional, real stories. That's what people should be interested in and learning what people are actually going through, not what's made up and not what somebody, perceives as a struggle for somebody, but the people that have actually gone through it. Let's hear from them. Let's read their stories.
What do you say to Congress people who think that the foster care system today is working?
Well, I'm going to say this. The book is not anti-foster care. I was very fortunate. I was one of the fortunate ones. I was in two different homes, two different foster care homes, and both of them, like one was a wealthy family and one was a country family. So I got I've got a taste of both worlds. I am very well-rounded, and the foster care system saved my life. My brothers and I would have died in that trailer starving had the police not come, taken us out of there and taken us into the children's home, and then we were put in foster care. So I am not anti-foster care at all by any means, and I don't want to send that message. I think there are wonderful families who have their heart in the right place that take in children, and children are lucky to be placed with families like that. The problem is not every family has that motivation to take in foster children. Some are motivated by the money that they get when they get foster children. So I think better training for foster families that take in the children needs to happen. I think CASA, they seem to want to learn from our experiences. They seem to want to better serve the children, but they're only volunteers. You know, they have some administration, but the volunteers are the ones that are on the front lines with the children, going to court, making the recommendations. The volunteers, you know, they have trouble with the legal system placing children back in a family that they know that the children have no business going back to. So I have heard that feedback. So I think a better legislation, stricter rules. If you've taken a child out of a home, don't send them back unless, you know, there is absolutely no red flags, you know. If a child is taken from a home because the parents are drug addicts, those parents need to be clean, complete a rehab, a court-appointed rehab. They need to prove, you know, that they are going to stay that way before you send the child back. Not, oh, you're out. All right, the kids can go back now, you know. Also, if you take a child out of a home because they've been molested, I can tell you this from experience, because I also, and this is a sneak peek for book 2, I went back into the foster care system later. So I aged out. I was a teenager in the foster care system all the way until I graduated high school, and I aged out. I was homeless. I had nowhere to go. So what I do, you know, I got married, I got pregnant, I had children when I was a child. So, which is, I know I became a statistic because you either turn to drugs, or you turn to your sex trafficked, or you get pregnant and get married, or you kill yourself. That's the 4 options children that age out today have. And with over 20,000 a year aging out, that's a lot of people to have to struggle and only have those 4 options. That's not good. So legislation, and back to the girl that I was in, she was in the home because she had been having sex with her father, and she was in love with her father, and they pulled her out of the home, and she wanted to go back, and she cried and cried and cried. And a month later, they let her go back to her father because she wanted to go home. And I'm sorry, she was only 14 years old. Why didn't legislation step in? Why didn't somebody step in and say, you know, I know you're wanting this, but this is not healthy for you. This is not the way you should live your life. You know, I never understood that to this day, why they sent her back home. It infuriates me that happened. And I just see so much. I see so much of that happen. And when I started writing this book with my best friend, Michelle, when I started writing this until the time we finished it, 3 kids that I know the families personally that aged out of the system, 3 within weeks of aging out killed themselves.
Oh my.
We need something for them. Nobody talks about them. They probably make up a high percentage of our homeless people, you know. So that is what has motivated me to start Foster Hub. Hub.
If I can,
Yes.
there are studies at universities like Harvard that have identified a 47% correlation between foster care and homelessness in America,
Wow.
which means that almost half of the people who you see out there that are homeless were in foster care at one time or another. There
Wow.
also there are also a high percentage of the people who are in the penitentiary, and Scott Hampton is working on that work to identify how many youth who are in foster care are now incarcerated. And so we got to remember how big of an issue foster care is in America. We got to continue to educate people. I still meet adults who don't know about foster care, who don't know about what's going on there. Lo and behold, there are some treacherous things that are going on in foster care. And we love and appreciate the success stories, but our heart continues to ache for those people we know are still struggling. And what you're talking about right now is the fact that we have thousands of young adults, people who are on the other side of puberty, who are still in foster care, who still they still have a lack of self-identity. They don't have consistent parents. They want to drive. They want to get out there and they want to grow up. And unfortunately, unless we are able to form a solution for these young people, you have people, it's impossible to grow up if you never get stability.
Right.
I have a younger brother right now who's in jail for 20 to 40 years. And while what he did was wrong, all I can think of is how he never had an opportunity to really get life straight. You know, when we
Yeah.
went into foster care, my little brother was playing around in the counselor's office because he didn't even understand what was happening. He didn't understand the gravity of what we were being told, which was that we were never going home again.
Yeah.
And so, just like you said, those people, they grow up and they have things that make them appear to be mentally ill, or maybe they are mentally ill. But when did they ever have a chance to be mentally well?
Right. Exactly. All three of my brothers have been incarcerated. Two of them are currently incarcerated. Um, People that have met us and know our family situation have said, Michelle, how did you turn out so normal? And I'll say to them, I'm not normal. I just hide it well. But my brothers were not able to hide it well. And they didn't have some of the mentor opportunities that I got. So, again, this goes back to what you said earlier about a nice, kind action or word can really make a difference. It really, really can. My brothers do suffer from mental illness, schizophrenia, bipolar. They're extremely violent, alcoholic, and drug addicts. So they never got a chance.
Right.
When we got out of foster care and we were put back into the real world, that was it. We didn't know how to cope. We went from a nice home and food and back to being poor, living in a trailer park again and struggling and fighting because people were picking on us. And, it was like there was no follow-up either. So when the kids are out of the foster care system and put back there was no follow-up to make sure that we're still okay and that we're still getting what we need. I mean, there are so many different things that are lacking, so many gaps that need to be filled to help these children, the children that are in the foster care system, the children that are placed back with their families, and the children that age out.
And I want to say this as well. My heart is here for. Excuse me, I just swallowed the wrong way. My heart goes out for people who are going through challenges in life. Period. I'm not just concerned about youth who are in the foster care system. I'm concerned about all youth who are not being afforded a fair life. Everyone. And to narrow it down, yes, we're talking about foster care, but I don't want anybody to watch an episode as important as this and think, oh, they're just concerned about foster care. No, we're concerned about everybody. And
Yes.
foster care is a case study. Foster care is a microcosm that if we incorporate the right solution there, we'll have a template to how to make life better for everyone. For everyone.
Yes.
So I want to say this as well. Do we continue to look at the government to make a change or another agency to make a change? Or do we come together to make a change right now, today? Talk about it.
Yeah, I don't think that we can count on the government to do everything for us. People need to start taking some accountability and step up. If you see, especially during this quarantine period, if you see a child running around outside half clothed and filthy, you know what? Their home life probably isn't very good, and they're probably not getting what they need in that home. Don't be afraid. I know stranger danger, all this, but don't be afraid to go over there and talk to their parents and offer some assistance, because that parent might be suffering from depression and overwhelmed and just can't handle, taking care of the child right now. And they just completely, their mind isn't even thinking about the child. We need to come together as a society. Quit looking at the color of people's skin. Quit looking at Sorry, quit
It's
looking
okay.
at
No,
religion.
no, 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 no,
Quit
no. Hold
looking
on,
at
hold on.
if they're
Wait,
wearing,
wait, Michelle,
something different from you.
Michelle,
Yes.
you go
Sorry.
ahead, you go ahead and have your moment, and let me pick up here. You can cry. Listen,
No, I'm all right.
we don't do discrimination within foster care. We don't do skin color in foster care. We are brothers and sisters. We
Yes.
stand up for one another. We listen to each other. And it is time, beyond all emotion, for us to come together and make a change for young people in foster care today.
Yes.
Because what we are going through is unspeakable in a healthy home.
Hmm.
We've got to come together and make a difference. And so I know sometimes when people look at me and they listen to me, they say Cedric is so passionate. He's always upset. He's frustrated. Hey, listen, guess what? I am passionate. I am upset. I am frustrated. I am. There's so many young people being pulled away from their families, never going back. Talking to counselors. Counselors don't understand them. Going to foster parents telling them, hey, you're only here because nobody else wanted you. And when you get those opportunities that help you become a successful adult, you feel that. You like, you know what? I wouldn't even have become a successful adult if I didn't get this one opportunity right here.
Right.
You
Right.
feel it. You
I
feel
got
it.
lucky.
I got lucky. I
Yeah.
got lucky. I got lucky. You feel it. 17-year-olds who get a chance to work for the government, or they get a chance to get a nice job, or they get a chance to matriculate through college successfully, they feel like I got lucky. And that's the culture that we need to change. So yes, I am upset, quite frankly, at how we're not being there for youth in the foster care system today. And guess what? Grant us access. We need access. I don't want your red tape. I don't want you to get your magnifying glass out about my degree. My degree's not finished. I can't wait to finish my degree. But in the meantime, I want to get to the young people who are in foster care today and share my story. And I have other people who are coming with me.
Yes. Amen.
Michelle, what's next for you?
Oh, you said passionate. People use that word when I start to get worked up, and I really know from experience that something needs to change. That word passionate is used, and I'm like, you're basically telling me that I sound like a crazy person right now. I'm passionate because I know I've been there. I've been through it. But oh, so
Yeah,
when you said that word, I'm just like, I hate when people use that word with me, because I am passionate, but it's kind of like patronizing when they say it to you, especially if they haven't been through things and they don't understand. But what's next for me? Oh my gosh. Okay, book 2. Almost finished with book 2. The book is available on Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, Kobo, iBooks. It's available in hardback, paperback, ebook, and very soon, any day now, the audiobook is going to be out. Book 2 should be out sometime next spring. That's what we're shooting for. Let's see, what else? Oh, Foster Hub. Okay, so I said in the beginning of starting this, when we started writing this book, I really want to use this to help foster children. How can I do this to help foster children? And I know working with CASA and trying to educate them and help them to better serve is one way, but I want to do something bigger. So I am starting a foundation. I already filed the articles of incorporation in early March and it was accepted, but then COVID happened and the world shut down. So I'm kind of on hold with this, but Foster Hub is what it's called. And there are so many organizations out there, Cedric, great organizations that will help children when they age out. It will help them find housing. There's another one over here that will help them file for grants to get into college. There's another one over here that will help them get an apartment. But you know what? When you age out of the system, you don't have a car, you don't have a phone, you don't have a place to live, you're in survival mode. All you care about is where your next meal is coming from and where you're going to sleep tonight. So you don't have time or the means, or it's not even a priority on your brain to go to all these different places. So why not have one central hub, one central location that all these organizations go through? And you don't have to come to us. We'll come to you. We can work with the organizations, the Job and Family Services and CASA, to know which ones are about to age out. Come to them first, get them set up, get them signed up, and don't leave them after that. Give them support, be there for a full decade, because it took me 10 years to learn how to be a functioning adult. It took me 10 years without parental advice and parental guidance. 10 years before I actually felt like, you know what, I know how to do this. I got this now. I don't want.
You know what? Hold on, Michelle. Hold
Yes.
up. Hold up. Strength is what we're doing today. Strength. And I need you to take 20 seconds and speak to the young people in foster care today who are going through it. They're struggling and they need a word from you. Let's do this. 20 seconds. Go ahead.
You got this, guys. You know what? It may be hard right now. Don't give up. You are not a failure if you fail at what you're trying right now. You're only a failure if you quit trying. If it didn't work that way, try a different way. Just keep trying. Don't ever give up. I never gave up, and I never, ever let them tell me I could not do something. If you feel it in your heart and you know you can do it, then keep trying until you make it happen. And there are so many groups out there, foster care groups on Facebook, where you can reach out and you can talk to people that are going through or have gone through the same thing that you have gone through.
Yeah.
Just know that it will get better. Don't ever give up. Don't ever give up. And if you need to message me directly, we will talk for hours. If you need to have somebody to talk to, message me on Facebook, Michelle Mays. I am here and I know what you're going through because I've been there. And I almost gave up once. I almost gave up once.
But you didn't.
And I did not.
But you didn't.
I did not.
And we believe in you. And we believe in you. And
now my life is to where I can give back. I finally feel like I am in a spot where I have healed and I have found closure, and I can give back and I can help other people get to where I am. Mm-hmm. And that's what I want to do. And just know, guys, girls, guys, whatever, you have gone through something extraordinary that almost no one else in this country has gone through. You are stronger than them. You are stronger than the rest because of what you've gone through. It has made you bulletproof.
That's right. That's right. Michelle, I want to let you know that I would like to make family with you. I want to become family with you. I want to introduce you to my family, and I want you and I to make a change together. If you are out there in the audience and you've been a part of this conversation, you can reach out to me and join this cause as well. I think that Michelle is a powerful woman who's onto a powerful concept that's going to manifest into a powerful reality for young people today. Think about the babies in the hospital right now who we can be there for.
Or the babies having babies.
the babies having babies, the young adults, the people who they can't even speak about their stories yet. So the bottom line is this. We've listened to your story today. We've been inspired. Ladies and gentlemen, get your crown emojis ready. We have listened to your story today. We have been emotional. We have been mental. We've been spiritual, and we are coming out victorious. I want to give you your crown today while you're still living, and I want to give you respect today while you can still receive it. I want to let you know, Michelle Mays, that you are America's next motivator.
Thank you.
Absolutely, without a doubt. Thanks for stopping by today, all right?
Bye, Cedric.
Bye-bye.
Keep up the good work.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with y'all today. I'm touched, I'm inspired. Each and every episode of America's Next Motivator is going to have something here for you. All you've got to do, just like you did today, is stop by and pick it up.